you're a gamer, a competitive gamer, and you're actually quite good at it, but you're not as good as him, or even your one friend who somehow got to Challenger last season. But these guys are outliers. In fact, it's kind of a mystery how someone can get so good. Or is it? I would argue that becoming a great competitive gamer isn't such a mystery. In fact, becoming a great player is actually quite simple. And on top of that, most gamers miss the most important factor in gaming success. And if you're to optimize this one factor, you'll become a much greater player. Maybe even one of these guys. Like I said, becoming a great player is actually quite simple. It really comes down to two things: training and performance. Training is a process of building your skill. And I'm sure you've noticed, the more you play a game, the more skill you develop. In a lot of ways, training is like grinding for experience in a given game. For example, in League of Legends, you gain experience for every game that you play. Thus, the more games you play, the more experience you get. This we'll call frequency. But in training, frequency isn't everything. In fact, many players will hit plateaus or even diminishing returns if they get stuck doing the same thing over and over. So the other key factor to training is quality. Not only will quality help you surpass plateaus, but it'll help you gain skills much quicker. Going back to that analogy of grinding for experience, it's like winning games in League of Legends versus losing games. When you win games, you gain much more experience. For example, if you had to play 10 games and you lose every one of those games, opposed to if you play another 10 games and you win every one of those 10 games, the experience you get with winning is much higher in the same amount of time. In skill development, the quality of training comes down to things like deliberate practice or how well you're able to retain the information learned. But let's look at another major factor in gaming success, that factor being performance. Because while you train and develop skills, you have to be able to apply those skills when it counts. If you develop a professional level of skill, but you have awful placement matches or you seem to blow it in every tournament, you won't receive a lot of success. And this is why pro players need to achieve a level of peak performance during their most important matches.
Really focused on what we have to do. I think we can do it. I'm actually not even nervous at all. I'm not worried at all. I really think we can beat these guys.
1, 2, 3, go! Game 5 is a foot.
Alright, so becoming a great player comes down to these factors: training more, improving the quality of your training, and learning to achieve your peak performance state. A few factors, thus, it's quite simple, even if it's not easy. But like I said earlier, there is one huge factor that almost all competitive gamers overlook. And to me, this is not only the most fascinating aspect of competitive gaming, but it is key to your success. And if you're to take advantage of this, you'll not only improve as a competitive gamer, but you'll gain a huge competitive advantage. This one factor is your brain, or more specifically, your cognitive performance. By this, what I really mean is your brain's ability to work on a given task. To break this down and understand it a little better, let's look at what neuropsychologists call cognitive domains. These are things like attention and concentration, memory, and motor skills. All of these cognitive domains are insanely important in your ability to train and perform. If you are to optimize each of these, your gaming abilities will go through the roof. And let me show you why. Let's just take 3 of these cognitive domains and look at how they affect your training and performance. Alright, today you're focused on training. You are specifically practicing your last hitting in League of Legends. This is a basic skill to practice, but it's insanely important. Let's also say on this day that you're running off next to no sleep, and you haven't eaten in hours, so you're feeling both brain fogged and a little hangry. As you start practicing, you have trouble concentrating. You keep getting distracted by all the other things around you, the enemy laner, what's going on the minimap, and what items you need to buy next. Consciously, you know to focus on the minions and their health, but you just can't. Even by staring at the minions and watching their health go down, you might lose focus for a split second and miss every opportunity to last hit. But let's say eventually your focus isn't the problem. It starts to improve, but you're faced with another challenge: your motor skills. Today, your motor skills just aren't there. You watch the minion's health and you know exactly when you're supposed to click, but the time it takes for you to register this and actually click is just milliseconds too slow. And this is enough for you to miss almost every single minion in the wave. And on top of this, your memory is quite off. So not only does this mess up your in-game performance, but your brain is unable to learn from these mistakes, thus making the practice session a complete waste of time. Now, let's look at the opposite. Say you had a great sleep, a nutritious breakfast, and you even went for a quick run. And now you're ready to start training. As you start practicing, your brain feels like it's on fire with energy and you're insanely alert. As you watch the minion's health, you're able to focus your awareness on every detail. It's as though everything is in slow motion, thus making it easier to click for that last hit. And since your motor skills are on point today, there is no delay. But even better, when you make a mistake or do something right, your brain is aware of the small details of how that happened and learns really quickly from every situation. So not only can you correct yourself quickly in the game, but you're making lasting impacts on your skill level. So the difference in practicing with good versus bad cognitive performance is obviously important. You could waste hours or even days practicing when you're really not making any progress at all. On the opposite side, when you're practicing with great cognitive performance, you can get into this hyper learning state where you feel like an absolute genius. And it's obvious where this plays into your performance during important games. When you achieve great cognitive performance, you achieve peak performance and win much easier, opposed to losing because your brain just feels too foggy to work today. But how can you take advantage of this? How can you improve your cognitive performance? And this is a big question, so I'm going to be going a lot deeper on it in later videos. But I want to give you an idea of what you can start doing today. Things that you've been told are good for you, they really are. Things like getting more sleep and eating healthy are insanely important for your cognitive performance. If you eat crappy food, it's going to slow down your brain. If you're running on fumes because of an all-nighter, you're not going to be able to play well. And if you want to get into advanced tactics, you can look into things like neurofeedback, or my personal favorite, nootropics. All of these things will boost your brain's performance and thus your gaming performance. So for now, keep this in mind when you play. Stay aware of your cognitive performance. Notice when you're feeling sharp and doing really well, or when you're crashing from a sugary energy drink and constantly losing. Because the more in tune you get with your cognitive performance, the more you'll be able to shape your lifestyle around always being in this peak state. And what's even greater is that most competitive gamers overlook this. They make mistakes like eating bad food or pulling all-nighters without realizing what it does to their performance. And since you now have this key knowledge, it's about to unlock for you an entire world of gaming success. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you walk away from this video inspired and looking at your gaming performance in a whole new light. That cross between cognitive science and esports is so important and interesting in so many ways. It's obvious how if your brain is in charge of everything you do, then improving its performance will improve your gaming performance. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and I'd love to hear your experiences with both good and bad cognitive performance. How did that affect your game? So leave that in the comments below. And if you liked the video, of course, hit that thumbs up button. Every bit of feedback means so much to the channel. So thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.